You want to know what the biggest lesson is that I've learned when working with and learning about human design? It's that human design isn't just a one-time revelation. It's an ongoing journey of continuous self-discovery. And that's exactly why I created the Human Design Guidebook. I wanted to provide you with a trusted resource, something you could return to again and again as you explore different aspects of your unique design. Inside, I've broken down the essential elements of your chart into clear, actionable guidance that helps you make decisions that actually feel right for you. Each guidebook is custom created to your specific chart, walking you through your energy type, strategy, authority, profile, all your channels, all your gates, and a lot more. All of this delivered to your inbox in a downloadable PDF format within 2 to 3 days. No more overwhelm, no more staring at your chart feeling lost, just simple guidance to understanding your unique energy and how to align with it. If you're ready to stop second guessing and start living according to your true nature, head on over to humandesignhive.com/guidebook to grab your copy. And as a special thank you for being a listener, use code POD10, that's POD10, at checkout to receive 10% off your purchase. Trust me, you won't regret it. Okay, now let's get on with the show. The energy of abundance, or lack thereof, is really an emotional energy. It's how you feel about certain things. In this gate in particular, they refer to it as the glass half empty or half full, which I love that when I first read that, because I can so relate to, like, that is the distill it down to the bare bones of what this really is telling us. This emotional energy is half empty or half full. Human design reveals who you are energetically and who you came here to be. I'm Dana, your human design guide.
And I'm Haley, on this journey with you to uncover the power of human design.
Together, we're here to explore how embracing your authentic self is the ultimate path to a life of more freedom and fulfillment.
Welcome to the Human Design Hive podcast. Let's get into it.
Well, hello, Haley. How you doing?
Hi. Good.
I toyed with saying good afternoon, but I chickened out the last minute.
Good, because then you would have been totally different than how we normally started, and then it would have thrown me off.
And then where would we be?
We'd have to scrap it. We'd have to scrap it all.
Well, everything feels a little off. Anyhow, I feel like I need to address that we did have a loss this week in our family of our beloved cat Noche, and it was a hard one. We've had her since she was about 2 weeks old, and you and I nursed she and her brother into life with little baby bottles, and
they couldn't even see or go to the bathroom by themselves when we found them. When Daddy found them.
Yes, another action of your dad who just acts, and I don't want to go into the story of how he found them, but he rescued them, and he called me on the way home saying, "Babe, I did something. I don't know if it was a good idea," which is what every woman wants to hear her husband say.
That's a horrible way to start.
Totally what he did. And who knows? I was like, what did you do? He's like, well,
do we have to go on the run now?
I know. He's like, I don't know if but I didn't know what to do. And I was like, what? He said, well, he explained to me what happened, how he got these 2 kittens. And he called the animal shelter, and they were very blunt with him, and they said, if those cats are that young, we can't take care of them. We would have to find someone to foster them, or they would be put down. And he said, well, we'll foster them. And I said, no, we won't, because you cannot bring 2 kittens home to my daughter.
Hell no.
You cannot bring 2 kittens into this house. Ask her to take care of them and then take them away, because it won't happen.
No.
So
tears. There would have been tears.
Yes, you just have to be very clear that you are now bringing home 2 new pets. Okay, and they were. We had Queso and Noche. You named them, and because Queso was a bright, almost white yellow cat, And
Yeah.
Noche was our sweet little black, what do they call
Starry
them? Like
Night.
brindle kind of, was that a
Yeah.
brindle they call it?
I think so.
Bright green eyes, little Spitfire. She's been the most,
Yeah. And
the
this
most
was
unusual cat.
yeah, we got them in we saw the picture. Was it like April of 2010, right? Yeah. I
Uh,
think
yes, because
2010.
she would have been 15. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
And just such a sweet, 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 sweet cat. And that's, of course,
Mhm.
the one that Lakeland did a painting. And we talked about it
Mhm.
earlier in another episode that Haley received that as a gift, which is
Mhm.
timely now and
I know
so
on the
sweet.
because on the little inscription Lakeland had written on the back, she's like, uh, something about now Noche is eternal. And I was packing it up
Oh,
the other day.
it's Lakeland's fault.
I know, but I was packing it up yesterday because we're gonna move shortly, and I read the back of it. I was like, now Noche is actually eternal. I was like, she will be eternal.
Oh, she will always live on. But it was just her time. She just decided it was her time over the last week. She just kind of stopped doing the things that she liked to do. And when we finally got her in the vet, we knew that we were there to help her pass, which we did. But boy, it was heartbreaking. Just
Mm-hmm.
it's so hard. Your dad said that he had heard somewhere someone told him we just borrow our animals that we don't actually ever because we don't get to keep them. We're just borrowing them. And I'm like, it's the hardest thing of pet ownership
It's so hard.
is quite possibly knowing that you're gonna most likely outlive them. I won't talk about it. I know it'll be too upsetting to you right now. And Bailey's in the room. I don't want to say anything. She can't hear me, right?
No, she can't.
It is hard. But now we
It
are
is.
a one cat household with Lily, who's made an appearance here once or twice,
Mm-hmm.
who's a very vocal cat and has become quite clingy. And it's interesting
Oh,
because she and Noche were not like great friends or anything. They didn't hang
no,
out together
no.
or they got in
They
a little
rarely ever like slept in the same space.
room. Yeah. I mean, they would in here sometimes, but yeah, there was no love lost between them. But I think she realizes that she has run of the house now. She's like,
She's just been plotting.
that's
No,
right.
she's sweet.
Yeah, they're sweet. So there
Yeah.
was that change, and there's just, we've done the transit episodes. We know there's just a lot of emotional energy in the air.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of shit going on to feel really bad about. And there's a lot of challenges, I think, to our overall mindset and well being. And um, so I thought today we could maybe kind of try to, I don't want to say shift, but try a little what am I trying to say? Focus on what shit, the segue is not going well. Right now it can feel like there's not a lot there for us, and it brings a lot of fear and a lot of
Mm.
anxiety, and quite frankly a lot of the talk these days does, and I'm very much in it, around this inequality of resources and wealth. And it just got me thinking about with the energies that we're experiencing right now. Like if you are listening to this podcast when it comes out, it's coming out as we enter into gate 55, gate of abundance in human design, which is in the emotional solar plexus. And
Mhm.
so it's very easy right now to have a very um, fear mindset, scarcity mindset, especially since there are people that are literally trying to steal from us that don't need to. They
Yeah.
have all that they need and all that they could ever need, and enough that we could all have all we ever need if they would just share a little bit of it. But so I started thinking about the themes around Gate 55 and around abundance because it's a word that gets, I don't want to say thrown around, but we do talk about, I use the word a lot, or I used to use it more often.
Mhm.
But even just looking up abundance, like, do you even know really kind of the definition of abundance is?
I mean, it's like an overflowing of
Yeah.
stuff.
Anything. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we We have now equated, especially in this space, this like personal development or new age space of equating it with just finances, just
Hmm.
money, of seeking abundance and calling in abundance, manifesting abundance, like all the abundance stuff, right?
Hmm.
And it's deeper than that. Abundance is, and it certainly shows us in human design, is more. It is really a mindset.
Hmm.
It's how you're feeling about yourself and your experiences, and it's also really a large part of how you approach life and how you shape your experiences. So, um, it's not just about money, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Would you think of yourself, Haley, as someone who might have an abundance mindset? Like, what would
Um,
that feel like to you if you heard that somebody had an abundance mindset?
I mean, for how I consider myself, I don't. I had a thought and it just lost. But so like, I would say most of the time, I'm not like in a space of thinking that I don't have enough,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't. And there's some, of course, some areas where I do feel lacking and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't. In I wouldn't like I wouldn't label it as abundance because I don't. And it's just not a word that's really in my vocabulary so much. But I mean, I don't. Think most of the time I am kind of in this feeling of like I have what I need.
Well, that's good that you're not feeling like pressure of or a lack mindset. You said there are certain areas that you maybe feel that, which, we can talk about that because we're not going to just talk about money here. So,
Mhm.
if you don't mind sharing, are there places where you would have more of like, they call it a scarcity mindset? When you usually talk about abundance, I talk about an abundance mindset or a lack or a scarcity
Mhm.
mindset. What are some areas that maybe you feel that?
So the area that I feel this the most is, and it's not like when I'm thinking of these, I'm not thinking of, it's not tangible things that I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling lacking of. Like
Mm-hmm.
where I feel like I have a scarcity or a lack is like in my fulfillment of like my job. I don't feel abundant with my job because I don't love to do it, but
Mm-hmm.
that's probably where it's like a fulfillment
I was going to
in
just
my
say,
job.
I think the word is fulfillment
Yeah.
necessarily, not abundance, and which is fair, and maybe a correlation that sometimes people do make between the two of like, well,
Mhm.
this job is it pays my bills and it's doing these things and it's
Mhm.
providing these things for me. Does that mean I'm abundant, or or am I not abundant, or is it
Mhm.
just these questions? It's words, it's wordplay and stuff. And so that's why I
Mhm.
think we can look at it as this is really a mindset. And what Gate 55 in particular shows us is that the energy of abundance or lack thereof is really an emotional energy.
Mhm.
It's how you feel about certain things. In this gate in particular, they refer to it as the glass half empty or half full, which I love that when I first read that because I can so relate to, like, that is the distill it down to the bare
Mhm.
bones of what this really is telling us. This emotional energy is half empty or half full. And what's interesting is because it's in the solar plexus, that means it's going to be both. Like,
Mhm.
and if I say that it's going to be both, you said, you understand. Why would that be?
Yeah. Well, because it's the solar plexus, like it's got its waves. Everything has its ups and its downs, and the
Mm-hmm.
main reason we have that in the solar plexus is so you can appreciate both sides. Because if you're
Mm-hmm.
only in the high and in the joy and in the abundance, you
Mm-hmm.
can't appreciate it fully because you don't know the other side of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And this gate in particular is in individual circuitry. And so there's definitely going to be lows. There's definitely going to be the down times. And so what can happen and what we tend to do without knowing that the emotional energy of things is always shifting and changing is that we try to force a certain feeling or force kind of this abundance mindset. And
Mhm.
I think this is what a lot of people have gotten tripped up and over the years, myself included, when it comes to the whole like manifesting process or getting what you want or creating what you want, is we feel that we have to have what they call an abundant mindset. But if you're not there in the moment, forcing it also, it doesn't help the situation, because I think it just tends to make the lack feel bigger, if that makes sense, because you're like, "Oh, I want to have this thing and I know I have to be positive, but I feel really bad right now in this moment, and so there must be something wrong and I'm not doing right." And you tend to focus more on what you're not experiencing at the time, or what you're not,
Mhm.
what you want, and without realizing that if you can just give yourself some space to breathe, this emotional energy can shift and move on, because it's a wave, right? It
Mhm.
like, and sure, there's extenuating outside circumstances, but this gate in particular is here to show us that it doesn't matter what's happening in your outside experiences. What matters is how you choose to feel about what's happening in the
Mhm.
moment. And this is a really big conversation that could take a lot of avenues, because there's a lot of, how do I keep losing my thoughts?
I don't know.
Because there's the whole conversation of like, are we just looking at it through the lens of like wealth and money, or are we looking at it through spiritual abundance or abundance in
Relationships.
relationship? Because scarcity can show up in all those arenas, because
Mhm.
you could have like the best relationship in the world with someone, right?
Mhm.
You could, I mean, doesn't matter if you just met them or if you've known them forever or you've been married to them for a long time. Like, you could know that this person's good, but if you start focusing on the lack of the other person, or the lack of what you perceive you are getting out of your relationship, focusing on that can change the trajectory of a relationship. Another place where this lack mindset can show up is in the relationship that you have with yourself, of what shows up with how you value yourself, how you feel about yourself, can affect the experiences that you're having in your life around, let's just be honest about money. That's another thing that shows up a lot. How much money you're making or not making, you can turn that around on yourself in this lacking space and be like, well, I'm just not good enough, or I can't do it, or whatever, can have this effect. And what really all of this is just a discussion that we were wanting to have around how your mindset changes how you feel, which then changes your experience. And
Mhm.
this solar plexus plays a big role of that in the whole manifestation process, or really just creating your reality. And we know that we're shifting more towards the solar plexus as being the leader in our experience of how we create and how we do, to be intentional about these things.
Mhm.
And also, as we make this paradigm shift that everybody's talking about, that's coming in 2027 in the human design space, is the incarnation cross of this era is going to shift from the cross of planning to the cross of the sleeping phoenix. And
Mhm.
gate 55 is a prominent gate in the sleeping phoenix. And so gate 55 is playing a huge role in how we are going to be moving forward as a human species, and
Mhm.
how we experience the world around us and how we create. And so that's why, even though I'm having a hard time coming up with the words, because it is using the word abundance, and I feel like it's just been overused in a way,
Mhm.
because really what I wanted to talk about is taking control of the experience, of your own experience, and what you get out of life. And you can either keep living in this space of lack and fear and scarcity, or you can choose the glass half full with the abundance mindset. And that really, it is a belief that what is meant for you is coming to you. It's faith, because it's also, I mean, I think she calls it in quantum human design a gate of faith as well, which that's what faith is holding
Mhm.
out and knowing that no matter what happens, you will be okay. And there's a lot of that energy in this gate. And it's a big topic. It's a lot of energy in this gate, and the fact that we're
Yeah.
going to be moving through it as this comes out, and there's just so
Mhm.
much going on right now.
There's
I
so
think
much happening in the world that is trying to make us feel this fear and this scarcity
oh
and
yeah.
this, like, trying to have us be in that glass half empty state and just kind of
Mhm.
like check out, basically.
Mhm. Well, yeah, because when you feel like there's nothing you can do and there's not enough for everybody, and the deck is stacked against you, like there's lots of ways you can just shut down. It just becomes too much. And like you said, that's what people are. And but I think it's important to see that that's not actually true. Haley,
Yes.
are you excited?
What? I don't know.
Well, you
For
know what's
what?
well, we finally kicked off the community in Substack, the Human Design Hive community. We've been slowly building over there, but
Mhm,
we've
mhm, mhm.
also now offering a uh, paid membership over there. They call it a subscription on Substack, and it's a very small investment. It's $11 a month. But one of the first things we're going to be doing, when I said, "Are you excited?" is for that
Yeah.
community call that's coming up. Do you remember when it is?
Oh, let's see. February 26th?
That's right. February 26th. That's a Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to hold our first community call, these will be part of the paid membership, but we decided to start them, at least this one for sure, open to everyone in our community.
Mhm.
So whether you're a subscriber or not, which I hope you'll be a subscriber, because then you'll get the email with all the details. But we don't really know where these calls are going to go, as we find we don't always know where our conversations go.
Natural flow.
Yeah. Well, we'd like to open it up to the community. To my initial thoughts are they will be conversations kind of reflecting back on what we did in the previous, in that month. We could talk
Mhm,
about maybe how you experience certain transits, or if we had certain topics that we talked about and you had more questions about that you
mhm.
wanted to come on and talk to us directly about it on a Zoom call. This isn't a one-way call here. This would be a Zoom call that you get to be a part of, which would
Mhm.
be really exciting. And I really, really, really encourage you to sign up for these, because I want to meet you.
Yeah.
We want to
You
meet
hear
you.
you hear us talk, we wanna talk to y'all and get to know
That's
everyone
right.
else.
That's right. Because community building is going to be even more important as we move forward in the next couple
Mhm,
years. I think that we are all craving this connection of like-minded people. And I know a lot of people that are drawn to human design and kind of this, what people are currently seeing as woo-woo, but we know it's not. Um, they need people to talk to,
mhm,
and they need community and people who understand them and are also on the path of learning and growing and trying to figure themselves out. And so that's the space that we want to create. And I'm just letting you all know this is something that I have been holding back on, a little afraid, because I don't know what's going to come of it.
mhm.
I'm very much I'm a generator. I respond to what happens in front of me, and I can plan a little bit, but God laughs when you make plans, they say. So I hope it's not a big flop. I hope you guys join us. I mean, Haley and I will be there. I know a
We'll
couple
be
other
there.
people that'll be there. And if you enjoy listening to us each week or some weeks, then we'd invite you to come actually meet us, let us meet
Mhm,
you, and we'd really love to have you. Again, that's going to be February 26th. It's a Wednesday at 7 p.m. If you head on over to Substack, you can get the link in the show notes. It will tell you where to go. If you are not already on my mailing list, if you're on my mailing list, you're going to get the details. But if you subscribe over there, that will put you on my mailing list. You will officially be a subscriber. and you'll be able to attend this call. And then moving forward, it will be part of the private membership that we also hope you
Mhm.
consider becoming a part of, because we know there's things we'd like to do. We just haven't got them all fleshed out. And we would like to meet you to get your input too, as what you'd
Mhm.
like to hear more from us. So head on over there and check that out. Okay.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think it'll
cool.
be a fun time.
I think so too. We always
Mhm.
have fun.
Yeah.
Don't we? Cool, cool, cool.
Okay, now for the show.
But I also think it's interesting that this the energy of this gate is not a head gate or a ajna gate. It's in the feeling. It's in
Mhm.
the body. It's in that emotional energy of how you feel. And I don't want to say take control of how you feel, but understanding that, one, how you feel is going to fluctuate, but
Mhm.
to understand and have the faith that when it feels low or when it feels down or when it feels bad is um it's just part of the wave. It's just going to eventually lift, and if you can
Mhm.
hold your faith that that will happen, then those troughs and those lows and that downtime, they they lessen in the intensity. That's been my
Mhm.
experience. Like I said, I have this gate twice. It's my unconscious sun and my unconscious north node.
Oh,
And
so some heavy hitters.
yeah. And it's a hanging gate reaching towards my
Uh-huh.
completely open root center. And with before I came to human design, I understood through Course in Miracles and some of the other mindset and personal development, all that stuff I did, that I understand that whole arena of how you feel and what you believe shapes your experience, which is why they talk
Mhm.
about gratitude being so important,
Yeah.
because the more that you hang out in a certain energy, that's the energy that is creating what's happening around you. Let's put it this way. So like one of my favorite things to always talk about is the whole you're creating your whole reality thing, or
Mhm.
what you expect to happen, or however you feeling is what you get. Is I used to I'll just say this. I'm not great at time management, and I always expect that I'm going to spend a short amount of time getting somewhere and that I think I have plenty of time. I'm very bad about deciding when to leave. I'll be like,
Mhm.
"Oh, just just a couple more sentences, or I'll just do this one thing, or I've still got 5 minutes." The next thing I know, like, "Oh shit, I got to leave, but I don't have enough time." And so I used to be the person that would rush to something, and my anxiety would be up, and the way I'd be feeling would just be like angsty, in a hurry. About what happens when you're in that situation trying to get somewhere.
You hit every possible slowdown, red light, traffic, all of it.
And then what happens? And you're like, God, get out of my
And then you
way.
get
And
angrier, more frustrated.
and I would do that all the time. I'd be like, oh, you idiot. And when it finally hit one day that I was like, I'm gonna try something different. I realized that, yes, I'm running behind because I'll catch myself doing it in the car. You're in the car and you're like, oh, I got to get there. And somebody inevitably just drifts in front of you. And I would feel myself start to have that reaction, that emotional, like, oh, and then I would stop and I would be like, oh, I'd start to laugh at myself and be like, oh, I see what you're doing here. I see what's happening here. I know this. I know this. And I would start to experiment with seeing if I could do it earlier and earlier. For one, I should just leave earlier, but I just can't do that. So I have to try other things. And I'd be like, okay, rushing, you're rushing. And in the car, and then just be like, okay, you're not going to go any faster. I mean, I wasn't being reckless or anything like
Mhm.
that, but I would just try to be like, it's going to be fine. You're going to get there in time. I would literally like breathe deeply. I would just try to keep my nervous system calm and be like, it is what it is. And I would find that I would get there on time. I felt like I was slower,
Uh-huh.
but I was just more present, and I was just realizing that I was not I decided I wasn't gonna call in anybody to get in my way because I was just gonna be like, "Okay, I own this. This is my experience. I should have left earlier. I didn't. I can't get mad at other people for that. That's not their problem. That's my fault." And we will just try to let it go a little bit easier, and,
Mhm.
it works. And I don't know if that exactly is about abundance mindset, but it is about the mindset of how you can create your own reality when,
Mhm.
if you're cognizant of it.
Yeah.
So, some other things I'd like to talk about when we talk about abundance as a mindset and a feeling is that we should know that it's definitely not just tied to money, right?
Mhm.
And I think what we're seeing in the world right now is such a glaring example of that because here we have the most wealthy people in the world who I believe have to be some of the most unhappy people in the
Oh,
world.
absolutely.
Because when you have an abundance mindset, like you don't feel that there's anything that people can take from you. Do you know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, when I think of the word abundance, it like conjures this warm like hug feeling almost. Like it feels like it's just like happiness and love and just like satisfaction.
Yeah, because it's a feeling. Then there's people who literally have nothing and can be the most completely fulfilled and have a real abundant feel to them. They say nature itself shows that our nature is to be abundant, is to keep creating more and more and expanding more and more. Like
Mhm.
the nature of the universe is not and nature is not to take and take and take. It's
Mhm.
like growth is nature's always reaching for more.
Mhm.
What happens when you just let it go? It just runs rampant. It'll just like
Yeah.
grow everywhere, right?
Mhm.
And I just can't imagine. I always think like when I see what's happening in the world and here you have these billionaires and everybody else that just don't feel like there's enough. But especially the billionaires like when you like I'm not trying to vilify people with money. I don't feel that at all. I was
Mhm.
like, I think we should
'Cause
all
there's
be
plenty of
millionaires.
millionaires. There's plenty of millionaires that do great in the world.
Yeah. And it's possible we all could. And I want to be, and you want to be. It's like,
Mhm.
if that meant that it felt good to me, right? If it doesn't feel good to me, then I don't need to be a billionaire. But if it
Mhm.
feels good to me, did I say billionaire? I meant millionaire. I don't really think anybody needs to be a billionaire,
No.
um, but I'm not a communist. But I always think like, how much do you need, like,
Mhm.
financially? Like, how much like, what are you trying to fill within
A
you
very, very deep, sad hole.
that you feel that all these people that you need to just keep taking it from them and make them suffer? It makes no
Mhm.
sense to me
Oh,
whatsoever.
you're talking to the right person.
Well, yeah.
I don't
Um,
understand it.
yeah, but then I think at the root of that then is also an emotion. There is something that is, um lacking or something that they feel is scarce. Quite often it's love or
Mhm.
acceptance. Quite often it does come from fear, and the opposite of fear is love. It's like where love is lacking, there is fear. And for some reason, they seem to think that it's the money, it's the wealth which is making them abundant, but it's really not. It's
Mm-mm.
the how they feel about things, and that's why they can't ever like fill that hole, like you said.
Mhm.
And so I think the whole rise of all this mass inequality, the rise of all these billionaires and why it's such an issue right now is because I think we are getting closer and closer to this shift where, you know, we realize that there's more than that, but also is coming at the same time where people are also realizing in the like business space that it's no longer about how hard you work or how much you hustle. Like people are starting to openly reject that whole hustle culture because it's coming at the expense of your own well-being and
Mhm.
your own like quality of life, of how you feel, just pushing all the time instead of relaxing a little bit and seeing what's happening. And that's one of the biggest shifts coming through this solar plexus shift, is that we, and people like us are kind of at the leading edge of this, of understanding that, and it's a big job also to be an example of trusting that if you take care of how you feel in your life and you build that up instead of hustling all the time and pushing to just gain more money, that
Mhm.
you really can build your wealth and you can be more abundant because your energy itself is different than the energy that you feel with hustle. Hustle and grind
Mhm.
is like burnout and misery eventually.
For real.
And it's
It's a
really
great album
triggering.
title.
And it can be quite triggering to people to hear that that is becoming an outdated way of doing things.
Mhm.
And I see it in my own life, in my own relationship. Maybe you can relate. Well, you're a projector, you can probably totally relate. You guys are here to help like usher that in as well. Is I haven't outmatched your dad when it comes to earning, right? He's still
Mhm.
like primary, but he's definitely hustle and grind guy. Like,
Mhm.
and it's interesting because he's born under the cross of Sleeping Phoenix.
Oh.
He is. But he's also someone who fully believes that the amount of physical output equals the amount of money coming in.
Mhm.
But then you see someone like your brother or yourself making an income that isn't really requiring a lot of physical energy
Mhm.
from you. Because, I mean, what do they always say? The people who work the hardest in our culture make the least amount of money.
Yeah, it's really
Whereas
sad.
these ridiculous CEOs getting these hundreds of millions of dollars of bonuses for doing nothing, I don't want to say nothing, but for they work very little
Mhm.
physically compared
Mhm.
to that. So, what are your thoughts
Mhm.
on that?
Yeah, I mean, talking about the catalyst of changing away from this like hustle culture. I mean, honestly, it started 5 years ago when the pandemic started because we all literally had to slow down and disconnect basically from things and kind of really look at what was important to us. And I think people are still trying to stay in that space of like what is it I actually want to like take my time and do, because your time is what's so valuable, and
Mm-hmm.
people want to do the things that make them happy, like they can create things from that bring them connection with other people. Like
Mm-hmm.
people are moving away from just what's the dollar value in your bank account. People want more value in things that aren't money.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was the big reset. Like I was, even though it was terrible, everything that was happening,
Mhm.
it's like at the time I was like, this is definitely moving our evolution forward because we're getting back in touch. We've been just running on autopilot, like you said, of just pushing and striving and working. And then there was that big pause put on where people are like, why am I even doing that?
Mhm.
Like, that doesn't make me happy. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, we are now in a position where I believe we're in the dying grasp of a system that's breaking down. And that's part of this whole shift that we're going to be experiencing through energy of the cosmos, is this breaking down of a lot of those structures, and it gets more intense. And I mean, I think we're just so close. There's just everything that's happened just in the last 4 weeks has like really driven the point home for a
It's only
large
been 4
part.
weeks.
Yeah. Large part of the population, that this just is not sustainable. This just can't go. There's still people that don't see it, and there
Mhm.
are people that may never see it, and that's fine. We don't need to convince them, but it's like it's people are understanding that there's more to being abundant and feeling abundant than just taking in more and more money. It's not about
Mhm.
possessions. It's about how you experience life and what you want that to be and how you want to feel. And
Mhm.
our types in human design are a great way to help point us in that direction to know if we are things the way we have been taught or we thought we should have in order to succeed. I mean, if you look at what types are being told is part of their strategy or how they find peace or alignment in their life is really doing the things that feel most naturally good to them. It's like
Mhm.
as generators to reach that sense of satisfaction, that's our emotional guidepost or barometer or compass point that we're looking for, that we're pointing to. And we know that for us, in order to find that place, it means we have to be doing things that we actually want to be doing,
Mhm.
which definitely is coming to a head because we've been forced, the mass of the population, to be doing things we don't necessarily want to be doing just
Mhm.
to, get ahead or make money or, and large part of us are forced to do those things because we don't have any agency. And that's the big dynamic that's going to have to shift because the generators making up 70% of the world, they're the backbone there. They do the
Mhm.
work. And Ra Uruhu used to always say that, he's a manifester, but he'd be like, if he felt most compelled in his mission with human design was to just wake up generators, to just get generators to get on board with doing what they want to be doing and understanding
Mhm.
that that's really important and that's going to be key to shifting the world. And same with manifestors, they need to learn to trust those urges instead of looking for approval for other people or
Mhm.
for hesitating, because that's their natural way of being. That's going to bring them that peace that they're looking for in their life. That's their barometer to know if they're on that path towards a more abundant life, if they're feeling more peaceful than they are angry. Same,
Mhm.
we're never, like we say all the time, we're not static beings.
It's
We're
always a
going to,
process.
yeah, that's an emotional wave there. Even if you don't have an emotional wave, if you're not emotionally defined, it's still things ebb and flow. They come and go.
Mhm.
You're going to have highs, you're going to have lows. If you're emotionally undefined, it may just shift more, I won't say erratically, but vary a lot more just because it can change by where you're at or who you're
Mhm.
with.
Mhm.
Projectors, when you guys are recognized for what it is that you have to offer this world, or even just what's important to you, or what you're really good at, even if you can't always put a finger on it, that's part of your path, is to understand what that is about yourself that you can help with. And you know what it feels like to be recognized, right?
Mhm.
Would you say that was an abundant feeling? I mean, I think it is when I feel satisfied, like you said,
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's it's when I feel recognized, it's someone seeing me. And that
Mhm,
feels so good to have someone see you and want
mhm.
your help with things and like wants you to be a part of it. And it feels so good.
Yeah, and I think when you are in that space, I know that when I feel that good, I want other people to feel that way,
Yeah.
which I think is what the abundance mindset is sharing the abundance. It's
Mhm.
having, like, the definition of abundance is having that overflowing or having that more than enough thing. Well,
Mhm.
that's why I don't understand why people are hold on so tight that have more than enough that anybody could ever have. It's like I always like to think, like, if I get into that place of more than enough, like financially,
Mhm.
I'm not going to necessarily give it all away, but I would certainly use my time, and I already am doing that, trying to use my time to help other people feel that way so that they can create that for themselves.
Mm.
And that's what I feel is where we're going, and it's, for some reason some people just don't like that.
I don't, yeah, I mean, like, I mean, I I can see why people are so, I mean, I don't love change, be honest here,
Mhm.
but like it can be scary trying to be this different version because you don't of yourself because you don't know what that version is. I mean, yes, you're supposed to be working towards what's good and all of this, but people are scared. I mean, it's so hard to not be scared about things.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
if you just think
I'm concerned.
physiologically, when you get scared, someone comes around the corner and scares you, like you can know, oh, that's just Presley. Like there's no reason to be scared, but your body is still scared for a long while after that. So it
Mhm.
takes so much time to get out of that scared, and
Mhm.
people keep throwing the scary shit on us.
They keep jumping out at us like every 2 minutes. I
Like,
know.
damn it.
Yeah, and, yeah, it's interesting. It's
Mhm.
definitely like I said, there's so many layers to this, and it's such a deep topic, but I wanted to bring it up just to talk about the fact that there is a way to get through this as far as just understanding that the world that we want to create is possible. It is
Mhm.
within us, and it's how we feel because even though I'm very affected by this stuff. Like I have people make comments on my YouTube channel. If I happen to mention somebody or one small political topic, I didn't come here for politics. Well, that's fine. I don't care. Then you can leave because I'm here. That's like part of my being. I care about
Mhm.
this stuff and I deeply care about our country and I deeply care about democracy and the promise of American democracy. I care about these things. And so it's really been an assault like every day of
Mhm.
what's happening and to
Mhm.
see the such little disregard from one, the people are trying to dismantle it, but two, I really hate seeing people tune out, but also I know that you cannot live in that space 24
Mhm.
hours a day because it will do nothing but short circuit your nervous system and shut you down
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
quickly.
And that's why they're doing what they're doing. That's what they hope
Exactly.
for.
That's exactly what they're doing. And to bring up this topic in a different way about abundance, because quite often it's just like, how to increase your abundance and make $1 million. That's not really my discussion here because I don't have $1 million. I'm working just like anyone else to increase the finances in my life, but that's not like I'm not one of these people that's going to tell you you're going to start making 10K a month if you just do what I tell you type of thing, or human design is
Mhm.
going to answer all your problems. But it's because what intrigues me most about human design is how it can show you places where you can better align with your energy, but also it's it's how you feel about things, it's how you feel about yourself, and you can create your own reality, and it reinforces those ideas. And if you have an understanding of that, an understanding of who you are, this is going to help you move forward. But I kind of lost track there. What I was
Mhm.
talking about, the shutting down your nervous system, and I'm definitely
Mhm.
affected by that. And it's so easy to get sucked into that because I think it's Abraham Hicks says that, when you're like even depressed and you feel just like hopeless, it's hard to get back up out of that and
Mhm.
be, right away in this abundance mindset and be positive all the time. But, even anger is better than depression. It's just a different energy. It like makes you
Mhm.
feel a little bit more powerful. And then revenge and all these other things she talks about, but feeling that. But I keep trying to remind myself that I am not adding to the solution by always staying in the energy of the problem, right?
Mm.
The
Mhm.
energy of the problem is dark and it's bad and it's scary and
Mhm.
it is real. It's there. We feel it. We all feel it. But I also know that energy resonates, right? We create the resonant
Mhm.
energy. It takes people like us who understand how to use energy and how to use our emotions to bring that energy higher and to combat the the
Mhm.
the darker energy that's out there,
Yeah.
the lower energy. What are you
We
gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, us doing this podcast and what we're trying to do, like, we have to be the tuning fork for the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be the ones that are trying so hard, and it is so hard
Mm-hmm.
to be in this spot because it's just so hard. But we have to be the ones that are
Mm-hmm.
trying to bring the rest of us up.
Yeah, and especially if you care about the issue, like I do. It's like I try to limit how much I take in a day.
Mhm.
I'm not blind to it. I act where I can act, and then other than that, my contribution is also tending to my garden, and in the not the literal sense because I don't have a garden, but keeping keeping my mental health, me, is that the right thing to say? Me keep me uh guarding
Protecting.
protecting my mental health, doing things that help regulate me, because if we're all scared and we're all chaotic and we're all just like out there, there's no hope. We need people that can
Mhm.
hold that vision, because what you look for, you find. If you're looking for all the wrong, you're going to find all the bad.
Mhm.
That's what got us here in the first place, with the news just feeding us shit all day long of what's wrong just because they want ratings. It's
Mhm.
like it's a game to them, but it's real for the rest of us. We're here. But if we can start looking for evidence of abundance in our life, we can find more of it. And this is like
Mhm.
a basic tenet in a lot of this abundance mindset. Like I said, gratitude is so important, because I can I do this quite often, where if I'm really worried about something and my mind is looping, it's ruminating, it's going over all the what ifs and the blah 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 and everything. I realize I am I am in a home. I have air conditioning or heat. I have running water. I have this comfortable bed. If you can start focusing more on the things that are right in your world, just to, like I said, just to protect your own mental health, just to raise your baseline in order to be fortified and be strong, putting your
Mhm.
oxygen mask on so that you
Mhm.
can go out in the world and make a difference and fight these battles that do need to be fought for sure. But like you said, their point is to overwhelm us and to make us
Mhm.
feel that there is nothing we can do, and to just, you know, we have to look to the big strong man to take care of us because we have no power, but we have so much power, which is why they're trying to limit us. And that power
Mhm.
comes from how we feel about ourselves and how we view the world and what we think is right, and like living that and understanding that.
Mhm.
And so,
Yeah. I mean, it may feel like one individual can't do anything, but if you think about a drop, when you drop a drop of water into the ocean or a
mhm,
lake or whatever, you
mhm,
drop it in, it disappears, but it ripples out.
mhm. So just remember, abundance is more than just money.
Mhm.
It is the quality of your life. It's finding the joy. It's finding ease. It's in your relationships. It's in the opportunities that come to you. Like, just try to remember, and we just want to try to remind you that there is more abundance around us than we realize. And the best we can do right now is to not turn a blind eye, but also to not let it consume us. That
Mhm.
we have to fight the good fight by focusing
Mhm.
on things that are important. And, anyways, I don't think this conversation went the way I thought it was going to go, but it's okay. It's kind of what we've been playing around with here on the podcast, and what we're doing is to just see what happens. I mean,
Mhm.
I have a outline of what I like to talk about. It doesn't always come about, but that's what
As
it is.
it's kind of what my little mantra that I have for myself lately is it is what it is.
It is what it
So
is.
it's like I can't change the past, so let's move forward. It is what it
Mhm.
is.
Yeah. So to close out this conversation, Haley, I would ask you, like, what is something right now in your life that makes you feel abundant, that isn't about money, that isn't financial?
Mm. That makes me feel abundant. Ooh.
Hmm.
Mm. I'm gonna go with reading because to me, abundant and happy and joy are like very synonymous.
Hmm.
So like reading makes me happy. So that's where I feel abundant.
I think I feel abundant. It always comes to for me for my relationships and my family. It's like it doesn't I would like a lot of things in life to be different, but as long as I know that I am pouring what I have into my family and into my friends, that helps me feel abundant because
Hmm.
like you said it continues that good feeling of of creating more than taking away.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's the right thing to say. Okay. So, you know what that means, right?
Hmm.
You know what time it is?
The incarnation cross of the week.
That is correct. It's time for the incarnation cross the
Yes.
week, where each week at the end of the episode, we try to highlight one incarnation cross because in the human design system, there's how many, Haley?
192?
Correct.
Yes.
And it's basically the sun and earth gates in your chart on the moment you're born make up your incarnation cross. And they are basically the main themes in your life on the path of your life. And it's also the main theme of the energy that you bring to others, basically, when you enter the room.
Hmm. Hmm.
Each week we highlight one and just for fun. And this week we are looking at the right angle cross of contagion.
Oh.
And this consists of on the personality side of the chart, which would be the right side of your chart with the black numbers, you will see the sun in gate 30, which is the gate of feelings, which while Haley and I are recording, it's still the gate of feelings.
Hmm.
Um, the earth will be in gate 29, which is called a lot of different things. I usually like to refer to as perseverance. Some call it saying yes, determination, that kind of thing. On the unconscious side of the chart, the left side in the red numbers, the sun is in gate 14, power skills. And gate 8 is the earth gate, contribution.
So
Okay.
we have feelings, perseverance, power skills, and oh,
Contri- contribution.
contribution.
That's right.
I think power skills is my favorite name because it just sounds like it's a section of a resume. It makes me chuckle a little bit every time.
It is. Power skills. Oh, okay. All right. So if you were born under the right angle cross of contagion, you're here to oh wait, it's a right angle cross. So what does that mean profile
Oh,
wise?
okay. So a right angle cross means that it starts with the profile lines. It's a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4, 6.
Correct.
Yes.
Gold star.
Yay.
Okay. We're back to the beginning days when Haley always got gold stars. Okay. So, if you were born under this cross, you're here to fully embrace the richness of experience, saying yes to what calls you, diving into life's unfolding mysteries, and discovering the wisdom that comes from living it all. Your journey is one of passion and momentum, fueled by an inner fire that craves depth, excitement, and alignment. As you move through the world, you awaken others to the beauty of exploration, inspiring them to chase what lights them up. Your presence alone stirs something in people, a reminder that life is meant to be lived, not just observed. At the heart of your purpose is the courage to trust your own energy, to create in a way that feels deeply authentic, and to show others what's possible when they do the same. When you follow what truly moves you, you unlock abundance, not just for yourself, but for those who cross your path. Your passion is contagious, your alignment is magnetic. You lead simply by being who you are, demonstrating that when you honor your truth, life flows effortlessly and opportunities unfold in ways that you could have never planned.
Mm. I love I love how just across all of the incarnation crosses, it's always
Mhm.
about if it's your cross, living fully as yourself, and then that's how you help people. That's how
Exactly.
you bring it forward.
And it's so much simpler than we make it. We make it complicated, but really the simplest thing is to honor your type and strategy, your authority. Is you're a generator, you respond, you're a projector, you recognize yourself, and then you just wait for those invitations to line up. But it's really if you just live as yourself and what's correct for you, and that's the basics of what it tells you is how to find that. You just do it like this, then you're right. Then that naturally unfolds, that energy just naturally, and everything in your chart just naturally starts to express itself in that way because you're honoring your true nature and the way that you are meant to interact with everybody else in the world and with the universe. So simple, but what does it
Really
say?
hard.
What does it say in the Course of Miracles? It talks about this, what you learn in the Course of Miracles, which is really just changing your mindset. And it says it's not difficult. It's just different. Learning these things aren't difficult. It's just different. And so, yay for different.
Yay.
All right. Well, let's wrap that up. Let these good people go about their day. And listen, everybody, remember, abundance is a mindset. You get to choose how you want to feel, and you get to choose how you live your life and how you experience it. So keep that in mind as the world tries to
On you.
Well, I was going to say as the world tries to make you forget that. Stomp on you. Yeah, feels like that. But
yeah,
we're going to make it. We're going to do okay. We're going to make it.
Gotta have faith.
All right. Nothing more. Okay. I love you, Haley. Bye for now.
Bye.
Made it all the way to the end of today's episode, so you must have liked what you heard. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps leave us a good review. And if you know someone who wants to dig into all things human design with us, make sure you share the Human Design Hive podcast with them. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening.